In the self-publishing industry, we talk a lot about Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, and now more than ever, there are people that are looking for an alternative to KDP. Between rampant account suspensions and terminations, there's a lot of fear. Authors are even scared to even bother with something like Amazon KDP Select. Is there an alternative? Absolutely. In fact, more recently, there's been some news coming from the headquarters of Kobo Writing Life and their expansion of the Kobo Plus program. What exactly is Kobo Writing Life? Well, founded on July 17th of 2012, Kobo Writing Life is a free self-publishing platform that distributes ebooks and audiobooks to millions of readers in over 200 countries. Recently, I caught up with Tara Kremen, the director of Kobo Writing Life, to get her comments on the latest expansion of Kobo Plus to the US and UK markets. While we were chatting, I was able to get more details into the platform, and here's what she had to say about Kobo Writing Life.
Kobo Writing Life is Kobo's self-publishing platform. So it allows authors and publishers to easily publish their books, and those can be available on kobo.com and our partner sites. So you can publish ebooks and audiobooks directly with us. So it's just an easy way of getting your books up into the Kobo system and getting in front of Kobo customers.
If you're going to publish ebooks, there are file types that they accept, which include doc and docx, ODT, EPUB, and this is a head scratcher, Mobi, because Mobi more recently has just become less and less used because it was most popular over in KDP. Now, all that to say this, that your files can't exceed more than 100 megabytes. Now, with audiobook, to my knowledge, Kobo Writing Life is the only self-publishing platform that offers ebook distribution and audiobook distribution underneath one roof. Other platforms, like say for instance Apple, you can only do ebooks there, but if you want to get audiobooks, you got to go through another distributor like Findaway Voices to get the Apple, and same thing, Barnes & Noble Press, you can do ebooks and print books, but you can't do the audiobooks, but you can go through Findaway Voices to get there. It just becomes messy. I like having ebook and audiobook underneath one roof with Kobo. Now, the file types that they accept for audiobooks includes MP3 and M4A. Now, each one of the files can't exceed more than 200 megabytes, and for the entire audiobook, it can be no more than 2 gigabytes in total, which is quite a bit. You're going to want to make sure you look into the specs because it's a lot of nerd terms and stuff that I don't understand, and I just typically hire out in those type of things. Now let's talk about distribution. For ebook and audiobook reach, they reach out to 15 total regions and over 24 different retailers. Now here's the really neat thing that you don't see with other platforms, and it's the reach to libraries. And this is by way of Overdrive. In fact, they reach 76,000 public libraries, schools, colleges, and universities and corporate libraries. Here's what Tara actually has to say about Overdrive.
Overdrive, they're a former sister company of ours, and we still work very closely with them. And we love libraries, you know, headquartered here in Toronto. We have one of the largest library systems in North America, so we're big fans. All of our Kobo devices come with Overdrive integration, so it's super easy for a reader to be able to just enter their library number and check out books through their devices. It's really awesome. From an author perspective, it's so easy to distribute. All you need to do is just enter a library price, and then it goes into the Overdrive system. And we even have kind of like promotions that are tailored around the libraries from time to time as well. But we definitely hear about just it increasing, especially just digital library lending is definitely on the rise and not slowing down, it seems. So I definitely would encourage people, if you're wide, I don't see why you wouldn't make your books available to the libraries, because it's a great system to support. And I know authors sometimes get questions from readers being, you know, I can't afford your books, unfortunately. And it can be something where you can always be like, yeah, you can go to the library and you can ask for them and get them there. And then that way that you're still earning from your content there as well.
Okay, so let's get to the part that I was most excited about and the reason why I put together this video, which is about Kobo Plus. Kobo Plus reaches about 10 regions, and this includes the Netherlands, Belgium, Italy, France, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and now, most recently, the additions are US and UK. Now, we can just kind of compare this to KDP Select, who has only 12 regions. So there's about 2 additional regions. So if you're kind of sitting there thinking, oh, well, you know, Kobo Plus, you know, doesn't quite have the reach that KDP Select does, it's a little bit less, but it still reaches further, and it also reaches into regions that KDP Select doesn't currently get. Now I'm going to do some other comparisons as we go along here. Let's discuss royalties. Now, it starts out in a revenue share model. Let me go ahead and explain this. You are allowed to distribute through Kobo Writing Life, much like you do KDP or Apple and such, and it's all 100% free to distribute through there, but it's in exchange for a small percentage of each one of the sales. So that means that you don't have to pay a dime, but they do take a percentage of each one of the sales. So for ebook distribution, you get 70% of each one of the sales as long as your ebook is priced $2.99 or greater. Base rates vary per region. I'm going to pop it up right here on the screen. Feel free to go ahead and just pause the video and you can take a look at all those. If you do it below $2.99, it's 45% of each one of the sales. And if you're distributing public domain, yes, they do public domain, it is 20%. Now, when we go over to audiobook, it gets a little bit more dicey because you're only going to get 45% of each one of the sales if your audiobook is priced $2.99 or more, and if you're doing anything less than $2.99, it's 35%. Now, in their words, there are also special rules that apply for audiobook subscription customers. If a customer redeems a free trial token for your audiobook, the royalty amount will be 0. Now, if they redeem using a paid token, the royalty amount will be 32%. Now, for Overdrive, that's the distribution to libraries. You get 50% of each one of those sales. Now, here's the cool thing. You set up a separate rate than what you do for, say, just going to regular retailers. So that's kind of nice. In their words, most library ebooks are priced at around what you would charge for a mass market paperback, or between 1.5 to 2 times above your ebook list price. For Kobo Plus, it's 60%. Now here's what Tara had to say about how authors get paid with Kobo Plus.
It works out on a revenue share model, so it's very similar to how a lot of the subscription models are working in the market. So what we do is that we take all of the subscription revenue per month, and that is sort of one pool of money. And then what we do is divide that. And the main difference about how we calculate the payment is that instead of page reads, we're actually using the minutes that a book has been read or listened to. One of the reasons that we do this is that it allows us to treat these ebooks and audiobooks exactly the same. So we're using minutes as our calculation. So we have your pool of subscriber revenue, and we divide that by the total number of minutes that the books have been read in this geo in this month. And that gives us what's called the value per minute. So this is very similar to sort of like a page read. It's the value that we're using each month, and this will ebb and flow as subscribers dip in and dip out, and there's more books read or less books read. So then we're using this, and for your book, we are using this value per minute. We're multiplying the amount of minutes that your book was read, and then the author's revenue is 60% of this then at the end. So it sort of sounds complicated, but it isn't really. It's very similar to the other subscription models.
Okay, so what about payouts? They will pay you through electronic funds transfers or an EFT, where they're pretty much putting it right over to your bank account. Now, they will pay you out 45 days after the close of the month, so long as you have the minimum threshold of $50. Now, that's cumulatively. So in other words, if you're making it through all the various regions, they will add it all up for you in $50 US. So let's go ahead and discuss the pros and cons of Kobo Writing Life. Now, I tell you, there's so many pros, I just got to limit it down to just 3 here. So number 1, they have the best user interface, in my opinion, of any of the other platforms. It's super intuitive, it's dead simple. Even if you are brand new to this business, it's easy. And that's the part I really love about them. In fact, all the other platforms need to pay attention to what Kobo Writing Life has done with their user interface. Dead simple. Number 2, library distribution. You know what? There are aggregate publishers out there like Drafted Digital or Smashwords that reach platforms like Overdrive or Hoopla or so on and so forth, but there's not a direct integration like what Kobo Writing Life has. And number 3 is Kobo Plus. And the part about Kobo Plus that I like is it is an alternative to something like, say, Kindle Unlimited or KDP Select, where KDP Select is just, you have to be exclusive. Kobo Plus, they say, look, non-exclusive. In fact, you can even select the various regions that you want to distribute through Kobo Plus. And that right there is a plus, no pun intended. And there's one other thing I want to bring to your attention. It's something that Tara said. Here we go.
Something in general that I think is a real differentiator to Kobo and Kobo Writing Life is the fact that we do everything ourselves. It's like a small team, and our main focus is really just on the digital reading experience. So when we're making the devices, they're sort of designed in-house. We're doing all of that ourselves, and it's always to make sure that we're kind of optimizing as best as possible, you know, and we often come to market first with new features and devices and things like that. So we're not trying to get a customer into the Kobo ecosystem to sell them something else. It really is about the reading experience. And we definitely use that mindset when it comes to Kobo Writing Life as well. So we're definitely keeping the authors front and foremost when we're developing these features. So for instance, like with building out Kobo Plus in these new areas, like making sure that we included the option to select the geos, deselect them, giving as much control as possible. We spend the time listening to authors and engaging that feedback. So that's probably something that I like the most, is that I get to work with a bunch of people that just love books and really want to make this experience the best that it can be. And I guess maybe authors might not realize that is really, it's our bread and butter.
Now, what about the cons? There's not many cons on this platform, in my opinion. Number one, it's just not as much reach as Amazon KDP. For now. I mean, it's a relatively new company considering it just started in 2012. I mean, KDP has a little bit of a leg up. It's a massive company, whereas Kobo is a little bit smaller. It's got a smaller team. It's got smaller reach, but it's starting to grow more and more. And it's just amazing over the past few years, the growth that I've seen with this platform. Not to mention, they just reached Kobo Plus into US and UK, and they had a number of regions beyond that. In fact, this is what Tara had to say about their expansion.
Maybe in the future. I mean, never say never, but right now we're focusing on these areas and sort of really developing this, because they're areas that are familiar with Kobo. They know our devices, they know our interface and our systems and how everything works. And now we're just trying to entice that subscription reader to get into the Kobo mindset.
Now the other con, number two, is no print books. Now, if you want print books, go to other platforms. KDP could probably be it. Ingram Spark could be that. It could be Barnes & Noble Press. It could be over on Lulu. But for now, they stick to what they're strong at: audiobook distribution and ebook distribution. And number three, it's building reader awareness. I've had quite a few times where I've mentioned Kobo to some friends or peers or even readers, and they're not even familiar with Kobo. Believe it or not, Kobo actually has pretty good reach. In fact, if you're in the US or even out abroad, you will notice in Walmart, they actually sell Kobo readers there. Yeah, that is pretty freaking cool that there are Kobos that you can purchase in Walmart. In fact, Rakuten, the big parent company of Kobo, is pretty much in partnership with Walmart. And so that is pretty darn good. But all that to say this is you got to build some more reader awareness when it comes to Kobo. Now, overall, I'm just going to give two big shining banana stickers to Kobo Writing Life for being an option that is absolutely viable for self-publishers everywhere, and especially those of you that are really scared and too worried about going to a platform like, say, KDP. The cool thing is you run into any type of issues, their support staff is there to help you all the way. And speaking of, you know what? I actually did a full interview with Tara Kremen, the director of Kobo Writing Life, right here, and they also did an Ask Me Anything right over here in this video. So make sure that you check out each one of these videos. I'll see you in either one of them.